This is a rocket launch pad from the newly released Forza Horizon 6. And it's weird. It's supposed to be a point of interest, but if you look away from this rocket for just a moment, you will notice a bunch of bizarre little details. Meaningless ladders leading nowhere, big empty concrete structures, and these rails that just go into the wall and suddenly disappear. And this game is filled with places like this. Places you're not supposed to notice. So today, I will take you through the whole map of Forza Horizon 6 and show you 9 of these weird locations that seemingly make no sense. Let's start with something small. Take a look at this absolutely normal apartment building with a not so normal entrance. Why is there an AC unit sticking out directly into the door? And it's not blocking the door entirely, you can still kinda walk past it. But someone really thought, you know what this place needs? An AC unit. And placed it there. And just think about it. Why would the devs ever need to add it here? I don't think that people would have complained if there was no AC here. And even if you think about it from the technical standpoint, it just doesn't make sense to put an AC unit in such a confined space. And for some reason it seems like a repeating problem, with the ACs in this game not making sense. Like this building not having any ACs for the apartments, but having 2 of them at the first floor of some shop right below its windows. Or this house having 4 units sticking out of it. Why on earth would they need 4 of them? But that's the kind of stuff you don't really pay attention to. That's a common theme with racing games. And it makes sense because they expect you to focus your attention on the road as you come flying past these houses at 100 miles per hour. That gives devs more freedom by allowing them to leave out some details and cut some corners, which leads to creation of places like these. So it's really only when you stop and take your time to look around that you start noticing things like these. Now let's take a look at something even more hidden. And I think I can safely assume that no one has seen this place yet. I'm talking about this. It might not make sense at first, but look. If you go to this road and fly your drone along this wall and over the fence, you will arrive at what I like to call the backstage of Forza Horizon. Think of the game as a stage on which every major activity like races and exploration happens. This is like the area behind the curtains, the space that is left between the parts of the playable map. And this is probably my favorite place in the whole game. I absolutely love how it clashes with the highly detailed facade of the playable map. It almost feels like something straight out of an old GTA game with how unpolished and liminal it is. And there is so much to look at, like these coffee shops and stores appearing from the ground. This building actually being 2 buildings clipped into each other. This small hidden corner under the overpass that I absolutely love. And the whole park filled with people that just stand around and pretend to do something. I love that in such a fast-paced game you can find a place like this to sit down on a bench and just relax for a second. I spent like 3 hours flying around here and I could probably make a whole video just exploring these hidden locations, because it just doesn't end. Just take a look at these trees growing straight out of the concrete, or this gigantic building with no windows that just looks like a big cement slab, and there is much more to be discovered. And what I love about places like these is they are what makes the games what they are. It serves as a reminder that no matter how detailed the world is, you're still playing a video game, and I find that really neat. Our next stop is located right across the road from where we have been. It's this fence that stretches along the highway, and the thing about it is, it should stop somewhere around here, but it doesn't. It just keeps going and going until it seemingly disappears into this wall. And what do you know? You can also use this fence to fly your drone into the unreachable parts of the map. This place is way smaller than the previous one though, because there seems to be some kind of invisible wall here blocking you from going further. But even in such a small place, there's still something interesting, like another fence that goes into the wall. But this time it goes right through it and comes out on the other side, and then goes into the wall again. And guess what? It comes out of this wall too. There are also these 2 buildings that have ACs and balconies sticking out into each other, and almost connecting them into one big structure. And of course, how can I not mention a coffee shop growing from the ground? Also, if you're not paying attention while flying here, you might fall into the abyss of eternal suffering, so be careful. Now let's talk about something way more common. When driving a car, at some point you'll have to stop. And where do you stop? At a parking lot, which brings us to the next location. You would probably expect such a densely populated city like Tokyo to have a lot of traffic and almost no free space at the parking lots. That just makes sense, right? But in this case, it's completely different. There is almost no traffic and the parking lots feel absolutely abandoned. And it's not 1 or 2 of them. Almost all parking lots in this game are completely empty. And I might give a pass to some of them, like this multi-story one for example, because the game kinda intends you to drift around it and then jump off the top, But there are tons of parking lots in populated areas, and yet they're still vacant. These apartment complexes are probably filled with people, but there's still nothing. Where are all the cars? It's like people heard that there's a Horizon festival happening and just decided to evacuate. Or maybe they got too aware of the CO2 emissions and just chose to ditch cars and use their feet instead. And it's pretty obvious that if there were cars parked on the side of the roads, they would always get in the way and make it harder to race around the city. So it's a needed measure that bizarrely amplifies the weirdness of the game. Also, if you happen to stumble upon any parked cars in the city area, for some reason it'll be strictly one of those 6 cars. Nothing else. Right next to the previously mentioned multi-story parking lot is our next destination, the Hangars. There are 8 of them in total, stretching along the docks. These 5 are owned by a company called Tomitama, and I couldn't find any information about what this company does. But they seem to be a big import or export company, judging by the dozens of shipping containers and truck trailers with their logo. And the rest are owned by what seems to be some kind of microchip company called Hayosan. And for companies like these, it makes sense to own so many hangars. They need to store their products somewhere, right? There is just one small problem. If you take a look in these windows, you'll see that just like the parking lots, all of them are absolutely empty on the inside. And the thing that amazes me about it is, the devs could have made the windows solid color and nobody would have noticed it. But instead they decided to keep them transparent and even made some textures for the interior walls. And the weirdest part is not that there's nothing on the inside, but that they actually let us see the emptiness. There are also some smaller hangars off to the side that are seemingly owned by a company called Prav. And guess what? They are also completely empty on the inside. Here they at least try to kinda cover it up with some trailers, but it doesn't really do anything since you can still see what's on the inside. It's like they wanted to make something there but then just abandoned the idea, and now we're left with these vacant structures. What they didn't forget about though were the apartment interiors, which brings us to our next point, windows. Windows have way more importance than you might think. They add the much needed depth to this illusory world and make it feel more realistic and lived in. Just take a second and look at these 2 buildings and tell me which one feels more alive. You see what I mean? But what's so interesting about these windows? If you take pretty much any building in this game, slowly roll past it and look at its windows, you will notice that the patterns are obviously repeating. And that's not new. What most video games do is they have a set amount of textures for the windows that they just randomly slap onto the buildings. And that creates some funny imperfections, like this building having a convenience store on its 2nd floor, and another one right beside it, and another one, and another one. This building has 14 completely identical stores standing right beside each other and almost occupying the whole 2nd floor. I wonder if all of these stores are connected into some kind of one big supermarket, or if they just 14 separate stores. And if that wasn't weird enough, take a look at this small rural building that has a coffee shop inside of it, which doesn't really make sense as it is. But if you look into the windows on the other side, it magically turns into, who could have guessed, a convenience store. It's like the devs have a thing for these stores. Continuing the theme of convenience stores, that brings us to the next place. And I swear, it's the last time that I'm bringing them up. If we make our way to this big overpass that stretches throughout the city and take the road under it, we'll drive past these 2 stores standing side by side. And there is nothing really wrong with them, but follow me on this. If we cross this intersection, there'll be a construction site that has another store inside of it. And I thought to myself, that's weird. Why would they have a store in a construction site? And it's not this store that is being built here, because we can see that it's full of stock and even has some stickers on its windows and doors. So it had to be here before they started the construction. But what if I told you that there is something even more nonsensical here? How about a construction site with 2 stores? Yes, that's right. If you continue going down this road for just 5 more seconds, you'll find this site that has stores standing so close to each other that one of them even blocks the storage garage area of the other one. And once again, these stores are fully functional, so it doesn't make any sense why they would be here. Maybe it's like stores for the workers or something, I don't know. At this point, I feel like I'm starting to go insane with all of these stores, so let's just look at something else. If we head out of the city and go up north, we'll reach our next location, Hokubu Bridge. Funny thing, Hokubu means north, so it's literally called the Northern Bridge, you know, because it's up north. Yeah. There are a couple of things I want to show you. First of them being these cutouts in the bridge barriers. And the more I look at them, the less sense they make. I tried to figure it out, but I simply don't understand what their purpose is. I don't think that these holes are for maintenance or have any engineering meaning whatsoever. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. And imagine being a pedestrian walking across this bridge. That has to be a health hazard. I couldn't come up with any use for them, so if you know what they're meant for, please tell me, because I really need to know this. Now let's move under the bridge and take a look at this catwalk. Normally bridges have these so you could access the maintenance room, but there is no door and no room here, so it just kinda exists here, as some type of decoration. I also find it amusing how it has these ladders going nowhere. But there is one detail that actually makes sense. If you take a look at the bridge's support columns, you will see that they have these pillars on top that connect to the bridge's deck. These are called bridge pedestals. They improve stability of the bridge and help distribute its weight evenly to the columns below. And what's interesting is, these pedestals are especially helpful in regions with high seismic activity. And as we know, Japan has its load of earthquakes, so that's a very cool little detail. And not all the bridges in the game have these pedestals, which makes this one just a little more special. Now, let's go to our last destination. If we drive all the way to the very southwestern part of the map, we will arrive at the Nengan Lake. Here we have this long, beautifully illuminated promenade stretching along the lake's coast. And what I like about this place is how calm it is. There is absolutely nothing happening here at any time of the day. Just take a second and listen to how peaceful it is. After listening to hours of constant engine revving, something like this feels amazingly refreshing. At the end of the promenade are some lonely warehouses and this small docking area that has some boats parked around it. And upon taking a closer look, I noticed that the boats appear to be overflown with water. Most likely it's just a bug, but I like to think that they've been sitting here for such a long time that the rainwater almost fully flooded them. And I know that it's not intended, but it just adds to the serenity of this place. And if you come here at night, these docks become a perfect observation point as the lake gets covered in this glowing mist. And I feel like there is no better place to end this video than here, in the most peaceful spot on the map. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and tell me what is your favorite weird spot in Forza Horizon 6. Or don't. See you next time.